今回は地元ロサンゼルスの大谷選手 MVP 受賞特番をお届けします。さすが地元番組、これでもかと大谷選手を称賛し、他球団を皮肉っております。今シーズンの大谷選手を総括した決定版、現地放送を翻訳してお届けいたします。
Now it's time for the moment of truth, my friend. Give us the National League MVP.
The National League MVP is Shohei Ohtani.
Congrats to Shohei Ohtani, the 2025 NL MVP. He is now a four-time most valuable player, doing so in a five-year span. Only one player has more MVP awards than Shohei Ohtani.
Once again, was there any doubt? Hi, everybody. Welcome to the MVP edition of Access Sportsnet Dodgers. For the second straight year, not only does the World Series trophy reside at Dodger Stadium, so does the National League's most valuable player. Baseball's only two-way player does it again. Over the next hour, we will celebrate all aspects of Shohei's back-to-back hardware-winning season, not just the numbers on the road to history, but the milestones and moments during a truly one-of-a-kind year from baseball's most unique player. Plus, the World Series champs only had one award winner this week, but their ace and World Series MVP was certainly Cy Young worthy. And as always, Dave Roberts deserved more accolades than just a ring. And it wouldn't be a Shohei celebration without some history-making highlights. We'll count down the best from an award-winning season, top 10 style, on the MVP edition of Access. Let's go. Welcome inside our Sportsnet LA studios. I'm John Hartung, joined tonight by the hosts of Dodger Talk on AM 570 LA Sports, David Vassay, Tim Cates. You guys are with them all season long. Are the callers finally happy, guys, that the Dodgers are the World Series champs? Shohei's the MVP. There's nothing to complain about anymore.
Well, I was on postgame the night that David was celebrating inside the clubhouse after Game 7, and there wasn't a lot of crying this year like last year. A lot more celebrating, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
I had a show the day before Game 1 of the World Series. I had a lot of receipts. Fans wanted Max Muncy gone, fire Dave Roberts, Mookie Betts should be back in right field. Where are all those people today, huh? Show your face.
Buying their World Series merchandise. Dodgers back-to-back World Series champs. All right, let's get to the news of the day. Shohei Ohtani, once again, the unanimous choice for National League's most valuable player, hitting .282 this season. Led the NL with an OPS over 1,000. Led all of baseball in runs scored with 146. Hit 55 homers, 102 RBIs, and oh yeah, he returned to the mound this year. 14 starts, a .287 ERA, struck out 62 in his 47 innings. Michael Jordan won 5 NBA MVPs. He probably should have won 10. The voters, they would get Jordan fatigue, and they would give the MVP to someone else just because they were tired of it. Even if voters, DV, had Shohei Ohtani fatigue this year, there's no way they could overlook the season that he had. He was obvious choice for MVP once again.
Well, I hope we never get Shohei Ohtani fatigue, and I really hope that nobody's numb to his greatness and how extraordinary of a player he is. We've never seen a player like this before. First time we got to see him pitch and hit in a Dodger uniform. And you mentioned the 146 runs leading the league. As a leadoff hitter, you know, we talk about scoring runs, and he drove himself in quite a few times. But it was interesting to me that during the season after one of these games, he told me that outside of hitting home runs, scoring runs was the most important statistical category, which is a team category. So to me, that gave us a peek into a guy that doesn't really share a lot of things, just how team-oriented he is.
Yeah, this is a year, if he's in the American League like a 2022 where he doesn't win it and falls short to Aaron Judge, probably happens again this year. But the National League, Kyle Schwarber, tip of the cap, he had a really good season, home run-wise, putting up numbers. And, you know, Juan Soto did what he did in New York, but not a MVP-type season.
I was surprised Schwarber did not get one single first-place vote. Yeah, I felt like the over-under should have been a half as far as a first-place vote. He did lead the league in home runs, and he did drive in more runs than anybody else, more than Ohtani. So I thought maybe there was some Ohtani fatigue with
East
one
Coast
vote.
Rider or somebody.
Yeah. But, I mean, when you look at Ohtani, here's something interesting. 55 home runs. Nobody in the history of baseball has ever hit 55 on the nose in a season. Oral Hershiser's number.
All right, I like that little numbers correlation right there. To put Shohei's run into perspective, here are the guys in the 4 major sports since 1979 who've won 3 straight MVPs. Wayne Gretzky, the gold standard, with 8 straight MVPs in the NHL from 79 to 87. And I hate to put a Celtic on the board. Larry Bird, though, did win 3 straight MVPs from 83 to 86. Brett Favre in the NFL, an enhanced Barry Bonds back in the early 2000s. And now you do have Shohei Ohtani. This game has been around for 150 years. There have been so many great players, legends of the game. Babe Ruth is a guy we talk about in mythical tones, yet the Babe never did what Shohei is doing, Tim. It's very possible we are witnessing the greatest player who has ever lived, and I'm not sure that Shohei's even peaked yet at this point of his career.
Yeah, it's scary to think about what he's going to do moving forward. 14 starts this year and still wins the MVP because of his offensive production. DB, I'm going to correct you. You said a few minutes ago, we've never seen this before. We have seen this before. For 6 years in Anaheim, only problem is he was in baseball purgatory down with the Angels winning MVPs. What he was able to do down there now on a bigger stage with the Dodgers, you mentioned, John, he's got more years to do this. The numbers will be there offensively as a designated hitter. And keep in mind, of all these different great stats he had, he was in the lineup almost every single day for this Dodgers team. Now, granted, he's a DH, but the wear and tear of pitching, the days off, I get all that. The schedule works perfectly for him. But still, he played in almost 162 games this season.
I'm not sure people appreciate it unless you were at the stadium. I was fortunate enough to be with you guys, Sportsnet LA, for at least 6 of his games. His first 6 starts, I was on the sidelines. And to have a front row seat, to see him pitch the top of the first inning, then come to the dugout, and he wouldn't even step into the dugout. Javier, the bat boy, would have his elbow pad, his hand guard, his batting gloves, his bat, his helmet ready for him because he didn't have time to be able to go into the dugout and do all that. To see that firsthand is remarkable. And I'm not sure people fully appreciate what this guy is doing, especially with the Dodgers, who are leading him off. In Anaheim, he wasn't leading off. He's leading off every inning when he's pitching.
And we saw it a couple times during the regular season. And in the NLCS, that incredible Game 4, he throws a scoreless top of the first inning and then hits a home run leading off the bottom of the first inning. Last season, Shohei Ohtani was strictly a DH, still recovering from elbow surgery. In June, he returned to the mound for the first time as a Dodger. And DV, I remember your guy, Blake Snell, said at one point during the regular season he was surprised how good Shohei was as a pitcher. And all Dodger fans finally got to see just how great he was as a pitcher and as a two-way star.
And he started to show a different array of his pitches because he was talked about as having that sweeper, falling in love with the sweeper. And yes, the sweeper was phenomenal. But I remember a start against the Reds where he was throwing a lot of curveballs, getting a lot of swings and misses with his curveball, his slider, his fastball, dialed up to 100 miles an hour. This guy was really in tune, not only with his pregame preparation, but you always hear Clayton Kershaw and Blake Snell talk about reading swings in the middle of the game, and he was exceptional at doing that as a pitcher.
I think it's interesting. When he made his first start, and then every start after that, you saw him with the pitch comm on his arm, calling his own pitches. Yep. He was still getting used to the catchers behind the plate. But as the season wore on and he made more starts, especially in October, we saw less and less of that. He trusted his catchers more as the season, especially October, arrived.
Just so much fun to watch him do both for the first time this year. And the Dodgers were extremely cautious with Shohei returning to the mound in 2025. It was a slow in-season ramp-up before being a full go in September and October. Tim, what do you envision the plan being for Shohei now in 2026? Do you think he's going to be a once-a-week guy with no restrictions this time?
Well, I don't want there to be a lot of restrictions on him, but I'd like to see a similar plan. You don't need to start him in June or July, but, yeah, let's start him earlier in the season, but still keep in mind the once-a-week pitching and have the bigger goal in mind of September and October. And I think that's something the Dodgers have the luxury with the 6 starters and the long rotation, that they can get him in there once a week. And as we've talked about, maybe build it around off days, depending on how the schedule lies out. But, yeah, certainly start him a little earlier. But still, I like that ramp up. You don't have to do 1 inning, 1 start, and then 1 inning the next start. But, yeah, a nice slow buildup would be nice. Nice long runway for Shohei towards October.
Yeah, this year was so unique because he was basically rehabbing in major league games. You're not going to see him throw 1 inning starts again. What you're going to see, and Brandon Gomes, the Dodgers GM, said this a couple of days ago, at the GM meetings, a guy that's going to be a normal starter, but obviously the Dodgers have always kept the big picture in mind and also have the depth to be able to reinforce not a six-man rotation. Even before Ohtani got here, John, you know this, they've been manipulating or maneuvering the schedule with off days because they have so much depth. And next year, not only are you going to have a full, healthy Emmett Sheehan, River Ryan's coming back, Landon Knack, you never know. I mean, they've got so many options to, I mean, there's so many options to be able to reinforce and allow Ohtani and the others to have not just 6 or 7 days rest, but also have 10 days rest. And Ohtani basically dictates when he's going to pitch because he's that unique. You know, he's going to tell you, you know what, I might need a couple of extra days. So it's not a set schedule when it comes to Ohtani because he is the ultimate unicorn.
This season proved it more so than any other year. They can manipulate the schedule, but also they don't have to necessarily not play in the wild card round and worry about that. This is a team that, you know, get everybody healthy, get this rotation going, and then they can manipulate things. And, you know, as you mentioned, get Ohtani the right spacing in between starts.
Want him to be fresh in the month of October. He only threw 47 innings this year. That probably helped him a little bit to have those 100-mile-an-hour bullets in that right arm in the postseason. Thanks in part to Shohei Ohtani, the Dodgers led the National League in runs scored and homers during the 2025 regular season. Remember the line from the movie Jaws? You're going to need a bigger boat. Shohei Ohtani is going to need a bigger trophy case. Since joining the Dodgers, he's now a back-to-back World Series champion, just won his 3rd consecutive MVP, 4th in the last 5 years, 4-time Silver Slugger winner, 5-time All-Star. He won the Rookie of the Year with the Angels in 2018. And yes, he's the reigning NLCS MVP as well. Shohei also established himself as the sole member of the 50-homer, 50-stolen-base club last year. He's the Dodgers' single-season home run leader, 55. He did it this year. When it's all said and done, DB, Shohei Ohtani is going to rewrite a lot of Dodger record books and probably Major League record books as well.
We're going to tell our grandkids about this guy one day. You know how we heard from great-grandparents about Babe Ruth? You know, that's how it's going to be when it comes to Shohei Ohtani, because this is not a once-in-a-generation, a once-in-a-lifetime type of player. And as long as he's pitching, how can you even, as long as he's pitching, how can you even vote for a Kyle Schwarber or anybody else? I mean, that's the difference maker right there.
Yeah, no doubt. And you think about it, when he gets to the tail end of his career, which is obviously a few years away, and he picks one or the other because he probably can't keep doing pitching and hitting, he's going to dominate still. And he may have a little bit of a dip on pitching, so he's a hitter, or vice versa. He's still going to be an MVP candidate every single year based on his production and based on what he's able to do, even at the age of 37, 38, and 39. It's going to be unbelievable.
I don't think he's pitching at 38. His dad wrote him an open letter that he better start thinking about the outfield.
Well, outfield, DH, he could still get that bat in the Dodgers lineup. In other news around the league, awards week has officially come and gone. Here are your top honors in the American League. The Jackie Robinson Rookie of the Year. First baseman Nick Kurtz of the Athletics. No surprise for the Cy Young. Tarek Skubal wins it for the 2nd straight year. And in a very close race for AL MVP, Aaron Judge edges out Cal Raleigh to come out on top. In the National League, Braves catcher Drake Baldwin wins Rookie of the Year. And after winning Rookie of the Year last season, Paul Skeens, unanimous winner for NL Cy Young in 2025. And, of course, the MVP goes to Shohei Ohtani. No doubt that Paul Skeens had a Cy Young caliber year. 32 starts, sub-2 ERA. We also know this is a regular season award, DV. So if you could include the playoffs, Yoshinobu Yamamoto would have won this thing hands down instead of finishing in 3rd place.
It feels like there's a lot of seasons where we talk about having the MVP vote after the World Series is done. And I bet if you took the vote today, Yamamoto would win the Cy Young Award. And in fact, I'm offended that Yamamoto did not come in 2nd place. Maybe the East Coast voters don't stay up late at night to see Yamamoto pitch, because he was right there with Christopher Sanchez. And you know, Yamamoto carried the Dodgers and made every single start when guys like Snell and Glasnow and Ohtani were not healthy. And he came 1 out away from a no-hitter. I wonder if he gets that 1 out if the voting is different.
Yeah, this is a guy who I'd rather have him dominate in October and give Skeens the regular season award. I have no problem with that. I do have a fault with the fact that he finished 3rd in the voting. You're right. The guy had a great second half of the season, and unlike his rookie year, he was counted on a lot to make 30 starts, go out there 200-plus strikeouts. He was another guy. You can throw Clayton Kershaw in there. When they needed him to go out and make a start because of injuries, these two guys went out there and did it. He deserves it.
How do you think the Pirates feel? Their guy wins the Cy Young Award, and then some anonymous teammate comes out the same day and says, Paul Skeens told him he wants to be a Yankee. Hey, congratulations, Pittsburgh.
Well, he's under club control with Pittsburgh Pirates for a while. Hopefully they can hang on to him. Not pictured in the awards full screen was the manager of the year. Pat Murphy, the Brewers, wins it for the second straight year. Certainly had a case, Tim. The most ridiculous thing about this, though, Dave Roberts didn't receive a single vote, not one.
Yeah, this, I believe, is the hatred towards the Dodgers from the rest of baseball, and a little bit of jealousy as well to see what he has to have out there every single day. But this goes back. I feel like we've had this conversation the last few years after the season is over. It's the whole, Pat Riley, Phil Jackson kind of notion. You've got great talent. You just roll the ball out there in the court, and they're going to do their thing. We know that's not the case, certainly, with Dave Roberts. What he does to manipulate the egos, necessarily the locker room every single day, and to get the best out of all these guys. I get why he doesn't get the votes, because Pat Murphy, what he did with that talent, building them up, making them what they were in the NL Central, I get it. But still, Dave Roberts, for what he's able to do with the riches and the abundances that he has at his fingertips, that's still pretty impressive.
So what you're telling me, every year the Brewers win their division, which is the weakest in the National League, Pat Murphy's going to win the Manager of the Year. Are you serious? Is that going to be the annual right where if the Brewers, get into the postseason, Pat Murphy's the Manager of the Year? My biggest issue is, like John said, Dave Roberts didn't receive a single first-place vote. I know the Dodgers have the highest payroll in baseball.
Or a third-place vote or a fifth-place vote? Nothing.
Rob Thompson came in second place. The Phillies have the fourth highest payroll in Major League Baseball. So it's not like Rob Thompson is managing the Sisters of Mercy. I mean, he's got a pretty good roster there. Not to mention, Dave Roberts and managing the Dodgers is a lot more than just managing the 26-man roster. He has to be a showman. He has to deal with, the sponsors that come in to his office 45 minutes before first pitch. He's got celebrities. He's got to manage his relationship with Andrew Friedman and the front office. There's a lot more that goes into managing the Dodgers than managing 26 guys. So, sorry, writers, you got it wrong.
And it's another case, if you had the vote after the postseason, Dave Roberts would get a lot of support for Manager of the Year. It has only been 12 days since the Dodgers won their second straight World Series. Everyone involved, fans as well, still basking in the glow. Right now, we're joined by one of the Dodgers hitting coaches, Aaron Bates, part of his third World Series championship as a member of the hitting staff. Aaron, thank you so much for coming on. Congratulations to you. I want to begin, though, with Shohei Ohtani because he just won his third straight MVP, second here with the Dodgers. And I think some people thought he might take a step back offensively this season now that he was pitching again. But he hits more home runs than he did last year, leads baseball in runs scored. So how do you describe what he's able to do as a hitter each and every night, given all that he puts into the pitching side as well?
I mean, he's been incredible to be a part of and watch him work every day. I thought last year he did a great job of just keeping his routine the same as when he pitches. And so this year I think the change wasn't so big for him. But, he's the same guy every day. He's positive. He has a good mindset, and he comes into work and he does his routine. But it's just it's fun to watch, fun to be a part of, and I can only imagine as far as the the tax on his body and how much work he puts in.
Aaron, we heard during the season you guys would leave it to the players to explain to the group just what their game plan was going to be each night against the starting pitcher. What do you remember the most, or is there one comment or game plan that Shohei spoke up in a meeting about?
No, I wouldn't say there's like a one comment that stands out by any means as far as the game planning goes. He usually has an idea what he wants to do, and he's not super vocal about it to the group. But everyone gets called on kind of what's your approach today, what's your plan, and he kind of has an idea of what he wants to do, is whether he's going to in his words chop up or chop down or kind of just stay level. But that's more of a just some banter. But as far as like the meetings go, he doesn't he's not going to to be the rah-rah guy at first. He's going to show it by his actions, I think. And then, he gets excited on the field, as you guys have seen in big moments. But in the meetings, he's not going to usually say too much.
Aaron, talk a little bit about that routine that Shohei has. A little different than other hitters have on a daily basis. Doesn't take batting practice outside a lot. Talk a little bit about his process before games.
Yeah, he does his tee work. He does his front toss, and he hits his red machine. Then usually JT Watkins will throw BP to him. It's pretty quick. It's not too long. It's about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, right in there. But it's an efficient routine that he gets all his swings in, I would say. And there's no doubt, he's refined it over the years. And certain days, if he has to taper it back, he will. But it's definitely not too many swings. I think he just kind of goes off of how his body's feeling that day. Days he pitches, it's a little bit shorter.
Aaron, it is such a long season, as you know, and every guy that's on that roster is going to have their ups and downs throughout the course of a 162-game season. Obviously, you have so many veteran players, established players, future Hall of Famers on this team, and you also have a lot of young players as well. So when someone's going through one of the downs, going through a mini slump throughout the course of the season, what's the difference between a veteran player and some of the younger players and how they approach you guys and looking for information to get them back on track?
Yeah, we're fortunate. We have a lot of information. We have a great support staff as far as performance science goes and different things, different tools at our disposal. I'd say that the veteran guys just kind of know how to not to get too high, get too low, and kind of stay even keel. And for me, it's when does it turn into a slump? I guess you could say how many games you let it go, or what's the guy going through, what's his body going through. With Shohei, obviously, it's a little bit more taxing once he started pitching. So you want to give some guys some buffers too and some breathing room. So if they have a couple bad games, it's not, rushing to conclusions. So I think with a veteran player, it just kind of, never to get too low. You're never as bad as you feel as far as when you're in a slump, and you're never probably quite as good as you think you are when you're in a hot streak.
Aaron, some of the moments, obviously, we remember from the World Series, especially Game 7, but being around you guys every day, I remember Ohtani coming out in L.A. before Game 4 of the NLCS and then twice in Toronto to take batting practice on the field during workouts. What do you remember the most about that, and did it become something of a superstition for him to come out and take BP in your workouts?
No, he just texted me the night before saying he wanted to take BP the next day. I think he wanted to change his environment a little bit during the NLCS when he did that. That's the reason why he wanted to do it then. And then whether it became superstitious or not, I'm not sure. In Toronto, he did it the first day there, I think, because he wanted to see the background, the backdrop. He hadn't played there for a while. And then before Game 6, Mikey had hit with him the first 2 times, so I think he did, was a little bit superstitious about it because Conforto wound up hitting with him again, and we usually just kind of had, an extra group for Shohei because he was getting done with his throwing program, and so we kind of had lined up some stuff for him later. And one of the memorable things was when Teo was yelling at him to hit the ball to him in left center field. I don't know if you guys remember that.
I remember that. That was great.
Yeah, he was like a little 5-year-old just saying, "Hit it to me." And then Shohei eventually hits him, a ball on the line, and then the next ones he proceeded to hit in the 3rd or 4th deck at the restaurant out there. So that was probably the most fun. I think it really broke up the the vibe or the momentum a little bit, having him hit BP the game before Game 6 and Teo kind of messing around, and the guys put the guys all in a good mood. They all stayed to watch his BP just because they wanted to see how far he'd hit it, I guess you could say. So it put the guys in a good spot.
Aaron, enough about Shohei. He gets recognized enough. I want to talk about you. In this 2025 season, and you went through a health scare in the second half of the season. To come out on the other side, to win a World Series championship again, to have this deep run in October, what has it meant to you this year?
Oh, it's been pretty special. The organization obviously was very supportive when I got sick, and then being away from the team for those few weeks, and getting a different perspective, you could say. Me and Robert Vinskoyak, we talked almost every day, and it just gives you kind of a 30,000-foot lens. But as far as just the way the season ended compared to where it was at in beginning of August, obviously it's you couldn't be happier in that sense. But to be healthy and to be a part of an organization that supports you the way they did is pretty incredible.
Dodgers co-hitting coach Aaron Bates. Aaron, thank you so much for coming on. Congratulations being part of another championship run, and great to hear that the health and everything is great on your end. Thank you so much for giving us some time today. If you are a regular viewer here on Sportsnet LA, you know that we love a good top 10.
Elizabeth Olsen is.
Yes, she is. Big fan of yours. Today's all about Shohei Ohtani, not you, Vassay. He's a back-to-back World Series champion, now the back-to-back National League MVP. Here are the best From the big show in 2025, we go back to number 10, March 19th, in his home country of Japan. DB, you were there for this home run at the Tokyo Dome.
The most amazing thing watching baseball at the Tokyo Dome is how silent they were when Ohtani was at the plate. And then once he hits the home run, the entire dome explodes. But it's like a golf match, a tennis match, where everybody's eerily quiet until Ohtani does Ohtani in Tokyo.
First of his 55 home runs in the regular season. Number 9, a pair of Shohei firsts, if you will. Tim, June 16th, made his Dodgers debut as a pitcher against the Padres and would pick up his first win as a Dodger against the Reds in August.
Yeah, I remember that night at Dodger Stadium. All the anticipation came out of the Dodgers dugout, standing ovation down the third base line. Went out there, didn't have a great command early on at that first start, but just to see him in a Dodger uniform and then to get that first win against the Cincinnati Reds, something special later in the season. He built up to where he was able to get finally that first win.
Number 8, September 28th in Seattle, a new franchise record.
There's a high drive, left center field. It is gone! Shohei Ohtani breaks his own franchise record for home runs in a single season.
As we were walking to the bus after that game, John, I told Ohtani I only talked to guys that hit 56, and he just didn't even turn his back. He just said, close.
Yeah, 55 for the big show. That's still a franchise record, breaking the 54 he set last year. Number 7, Tim, May 30th against the Yankees. Outdueled Aaron Judge to lead the Dodgers to an 8-5 win. He hit a pair of home runs in this game.
Yeah, I love to see these guys go toe-to-toe against each other. We saw it in the World Series last year, but in the regular season, just as special. Aaron Judge doing his thing. Both MVPs on full display at Dodger Stadium on that May 9th.
And he got Max Fried a couple of times in this game. That's not an easy matchup against left on left. Got just enough of that one to hit it right over the AL MVP's head in right. Number 6, August 13th in Anaheim against his former team and his former teammate, DB. He struck out Mike Trout twice.
Well, we saw this on a bigger stage in the World Baseball Classic 4 years ago to end it, to give Team Japan the win. But I've told you before how competitive this guy is. And make no mistake about it, he wanted to strike out Mike Trout, not just once, but every time he faced him for some bragging rights. And look, he's not just pumping fastballs at him. He's giving him the sweeper, the slider, and then 101.
On the corner. All right, how about more offense? At number 5, saving the day in Arizona.
First and second, one gone in a tie game in the ninth. And Ohtani torches one, tosses the bat, and watches it fly. Shohei Ohtani breaks the tie with a 3-run bomb because, of course.
14-11, Dodgers pull it out, Tim.
Yeah, it's the reason you stick around for the end of a game. Shohei Ohtani can come back up to bat no matter the score, no matter what the situation is for the Dodgers. I love that. 2 hands up in the air, celebrating. Not usually what you see after a home run from Shohei.
Mocking Lourdes Gurriel, who hit a meaningless home run in that game.
Shohei Ohtani bobbleheads are always must-see TV, and he always seems to come through, DB, on his bobblehead nights. Hit 389 with 3 homers and 8 RBIs on his bobblehead days.
There's 2 things Ohtani loves: his dog Decoy and hitting home runs in majestic fashion, dramatic fashion on bobblehead days. You got to believe Ohtani has a full collection of his own bobbleheads for him to do what he does on those nights.
4 bobblehead nights this year, and he seems to come through. He might have 11 next year. I mean, how many bobbleheads do you need to give the guy? A lot. Number 3, Tim, not 1, not 2, but 5 in a row. Shohei Ohtani with home runs in 5 consecutive games from July 19th to the 23rd.
It's just unbelievable. Just when you think the guy can't do something, he does it. 5 straight games with a home run. To do it to all parts of the field, he is truly amazing to watch on a nightly basis.
First time he's done that in his career. First time he'd ever hit 4 consecutive games with a home run. He did it 5 times with the Dodgers.
Dave Roberts and Dino Ebel have told me multiple times when he's at his best, he's hitting home runs to left field. And obviously, John, this one was a special game.
World Series Game 3. He goes 4 for 4. 2 doubles, 2 homers. They finally gave up on pitching to him. They walked him the next 5 times, but he reached base 9 times, the most ever in a game.
4 of those intentional walks during extra innings, and that's something that we've never seen before. And yeah, that's Ohtani.
Number one, we've never seen this kind of performance before either in the postseason.
And Ohtani drives one left center field. Did you? Gone! Shohei Ohtani, the stuff of legend.
All he did in Game 4 of the NLCS, Tim, 6 scoreless innings, 10 strikeouts, and yeah, he hit 3 bombs.
Yeah, the greatest game we'll ever see. And I was out in the pavilion for 2 of the 3 home runs, walking around. Just missed the one that was the longest hit home run. I was maybe 50 yards away.
Did you dive?
No, I was too far, Dave.
Okay.
But that pavilion was shaking when he hit those home runs. I don't remember. I wasn't there for the 3rd one, but the first 2, that place was rocking.
The entire stadium shaking after those blasts.
いかがだったでしょうか。ベスト10では足りなかったかもしれませんね。本格的なストーブリーグに突入した MLB。本チャンネルではタイムリーに情報をお届けしていきます。それでは次回の動画でお会いしましょう。さようなら。